this is our hero's journey part 2. Um, I think that we determined that we're going to make our podcast like 20 minutes long or 20.
Ish, depending on the video
I have
length.
ADHD, so that's about all I can pay attention to anything anyways.
That's fine.
So my name is Angela Rose, and my sister
Emma Whalen has a hole in her mouth.
not literally. And like we started our story last week, but just in case you didn't watch that one and you watch this one first, I'm the extrovert, so you'll see my face. Emma is an introvert and a book writer.
And I'm working up to it.
Yeah. And we're all about safe boundaries here. So that's her boundary and I don't cross it. Yeah. Oh, and we're the Butterfly Quest. And Emma explained last week, Butterfly Quest, because butterflies start as a caterpillar and they have to go through a journey.
A metamorphosis.
So that's kind of why we decided to start with a hero's journey, because a hero also has to have a metamorphosis. And then a quest because, well, we didn't like Butterfly Journey because those initials were a little bit sketchy. So here we are. I'm going to let Emma explain the hero's journey because she's very good with words, and sometimes I am and sometimes I'm not. So take it away, Emma.
Okay, so the basics of the hero's journey is you have somebody who is called to an adventure, or no, it's just
we're going to use Star Wars because that's our favorite movie. And it's okay. Emma's favorite movie because I decided that when we were 3.
Okay, so the hero's journey is there's a call to adventure, like when Luke finds the recording of Princess Leia in R2-D2. Holy crap. I actually have a book that outlines all of this, just so you know.
Outlines Star Wars or outlines the hero's journey?
The hero's journey using Star Wars.
Oh, well, there you go.
Okay, so, but the hero's journey is basically you are called to do something greater than yourself, and eventually you accept that call and you go through, we'll call it a dark night of the soul, to come up out the other side to where you are a better person for yourself and for those around you. That's the shortened, condensed version of the hero's journey. And
Angela likes the short, condensed version because, yeah, sometimes details are good, but sometimes they're too much. So what does Star Wars and the hero's journey have to do with the universe, the laws of the universe, laws of attraction? We are not going to talk too much about laws of attraction because although those are super important, I think that it's better to become synonymous is the word I'm thinking, but that's the wrong one. It's better to become what's that word? Like, it's better to
become, I have no idea what you're.
Well, law of attraction is something important, but you have to work up to it. You can't come from childhood trauma and hitting rock bottom to, oh, tomorrow I'm going to start law of attraction. You have to become comfortable, or you have to start walking the road of the other laws first.
A journey of 1,000 steps starts with the first step.
And that's
a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step.
Yes, you could follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow.
Right.
I can't sing.
Okay, so the hero's journey is, in essence, it is the human journey. It's the human story, almost all myths, all stories, all of the good ones anyway, the ones that endure time,
Right.
all the way back to the story of Gilgamesh is the hero's journey. There's a problem, the hero has to decide to fix it. He crosses a threshold into the underworld. He goes down and he has to fight monsters and listen to mentors, and he has to go on his quest to find the magical object or elixir, or what I think that's what Joseph Campbell, the original person who pointed out the hero's journey, said. And then he's got to bring that back up to the surface with him and use it to help himself and society.
Wow. Like, so we need to unpack this a little bit because all of a sudden I feel overwhelmed. Whew. Okay. So step one of the hero's journey is like when you go to AA and you say, hello, my name is Angela Rose and I am an
No,
or no,
no,
I'm
that
a workaholic.
well, no, it's before that step. It's when you stumble out of the bar, crack your head open, and you wake up in the hospital. And the doctor tells you you can either go to AA or you're going to die in a week. That's the call.
Okay. So that's the call to action.
That's
Or
the call.
you hit rock bottom and you're like, God, why? Why am I here? Like at some point, you need to help me. So I guess there's steps.
Yeah, with everything there's steps.
So the first one is to admit there is a higher power. So that's actually the first law of the universe, the law of oneness or the law of divine.
Okay. So I just pulled up a website that has all the list of the steps in the hero's journey. And amazingly enough, it's from movieoutline.com.
Okay, so I think that we're going to make this one about step one because I feel overwhelmed. I like that we went all the way through it, but I feel like we need to start with a step. So what is step one? And that's what I think we need to focus.
Step one is when it's the world you're currently living in. You identify your current world. So for
So
an
that's usually
alcohol,
people with low vibrations.
right. So for an alcoholic, that's somebody who realizes they are drinking too much. For
Parents like us, like I'm not an alcoholic, but I knew that when I walked towards my son and he cowered away from me, I was like, "Oh my God, I am my parents." Like my son is terrified of me. And I did not change overnight. That was like 4 years ago. And I was doing to them what I felt was done to me when I was little. And I guess that's my step one. So my vibrations were so low, I never had a good day. I hated the world. I hated my kids. I hated myself. I hated my car. I hated my house. I hated the words that came out of my mouth. I swear I worked hard every day from the time I woke up till the time I went to bed, and I hated it.
yeah, so for the hero's journey, you have to identify or see the world that you're living in. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're called to action yet, because a lot of people, they know where they're sitting, but they either don't know what to do or they think they can't change. That's the big one, is people think they can't change.
So for you, Emma, what was your, we're just going to call this lowest point or rock bottom. What was your rock bottom that you finally said, I can't do this anymore. I need to do something different?
My schedule had completely reversed to the point where I was only awake at night and sleeping during the day.
And what about that made you say, this is rock bottom and I'm miserable and I need to change.
Well, I wasn't spending any time with my kids because they were on the complete reverse schedule to mine.
And obviously, being a parent, that's important.
But, right. Like I was just a complete reverse schedule. I didn't want to deal with people. I didn't want to deal with my kids. I didn't want to deal with my pets. I didn't want to deal with anything. It was
Okay.
just doing my writing thing at night and sleeping during the day.
So, I mean, that kind of sounds like depression. So, how did you discern between depression and, well, there's a higher being, there's God or oneness or divine or
Well, I've always been interested in researching mythology, religion, philosophy, psychology, all of that kind of stuff. I've always been interested in it, and I've used it heavily for the characters I create to make realistic characters. And then I was just like, huh, maybe I can apply this to myself.
okay. So for me, I think um well, like seeing my son, so my first thing was I went to counseling because I had a few wants. I wanted to make friends. I wanted to find happiness and I wanted to have a peace in our house that I had never had. Like at that point, I was probably like 41 or 42, and I had never had peace. Like every relationship I had, there was arguments all the time. I was in relationships where the men beat me. I was in relationships where the men told me that I was worth nothing and I felt like nothing. And um, I'm not telling you this because I want people to feel sorry for me. I'm saying this is how I felt. And um, if you're starting there, if you're out there starting there listening to this, there's hope. And I guess with the hero's journey, and we didn't even realize this when we started, I didn't even realize that there are steps. So we're going to talk about step one, which is kind of dark. This is you're in the darkness. You are
Identifying identifying where you're sitting at. Realizing the Death Star is looming in the background.
yeah. Well, and not only that, um, in this first year, you have a victim mentality. A victim mentality is not what the universe wants for you. The universe wants you to be happy and to, know that there's love out there. And you may not have felt it up to this point, but going forward, um, love is what you're looking for. Like before, when I was so miserable, I took all my feelings and emotions and I put them in a box and I would just neatly stuff them inside my body and be like, I am never touching that again. I'm never dealing with that. I'm never touching it. It's just going to stay there. But as it stays there, it's like a foreign object. So it's like if like you had surgery and the little something got stuck in there and it just festers and it eats away at your soul, it eats away at your mind, it eats away at your body. And that's where I was.
Um, you can liken it to the myth of Pandora's box.
Okay.
Pandora was is it's Greek mythology, and I don't know the myth too well, but most people have heard of Pandora's box. And it's where all of humans' sorrows and suffering was kept, and then Pandora opened the box and unleashed it onto the world.
And it was
And that's kind of what we do when we stuff our emotions. We stuff them, we stuff them, we stuff them until we can't hold it inside anymore, and then we explode on the people around us.
yes. And it was getting to the point where I exploded daily, if not once, at least once, if not 4 or 5 times a day. And I was miserable. I had headaches. Um, but as we talked in the last one, a lot of that had to do with my diet also. So, but that doesn't have anything to do with the hero's journey right now. that's a step. So I don't want to get us too
far ahead.
Right. I mean, as for this step, there's really not too much more to say, except to end on a light note. There is light. There is more. If you're sitting there in your home and you're listening to our YouTube video and you're like, wow. And I can honestly tell you, like, a few years later now, I'm happy. Yeah, my boyfriend broke up with me a couple months ago, but it was a boyfriend that behaved in my shadow world. And the awesome thing about that was that I was able to recognize it and I was able to let him go. And do I love him? Absolutely. I still love him and my kids still love him, but he wasn't ready to do the work that needed to be done to be in a healthy relationship. So I'm telling you out there, you can create healthy relationships between you, your spouse, your family, even the family that hurt you. We're going to teach you how to make boundaries. And so this is just, I know that it feels dark and it's not as positive as we want it to be, but yeah.
Okay. So the first step is realizing that your ordinary world sucks.
Yes. And not only that, there is more. I don't care if your bank account's at zero. I don't care if you are living, if you're homeless or whatever. There is more. There is more.
And you can reach for more, you can choose more, and you can absolutely get more.
And right. Exactly. So,
which of course, if you're ready, leads to the call to adventure.